As I follow these principles that we're learning on the launch guide, I find myself growing in my business. I spent the last 3 years, while I lived in Utah, managing my team instead of truly building. And it took the joy for me out of doing doTERRA as much. I really enjoy doing doTERRA when I'm sharing samples with people, and when I'm working with people and helping them to improve their health, and when I'm helping people, do well in the business. So that's where I see a lot of success, and that's where I derive a lot of happiness for this is doing those two things. And so as I work towards hitting new ranks, it's coming back to these basic things that always help me to be successful. And so if you're ever feeling like I already know this, I've already done this, and if you're not growing as much as you want, I would invite you to sit back and think, well, where is the missing link in this? Because I know for me that my missing link the last 3 years, I hit Blue Diamond, and I feel like I just kind of stayed there for a while. I mean, I was definitely putting time into my business. I was doing a lot of leading, but I wasn't doing any building myself. And it's really interesting that your team follows your lead. Even if you're not building as much, neither is your team quite often. So I really would have you just look at this and think, what am I not doing as well that's holding me back? So this week we are talking about the E section of the guide. So we're going to be talking about enrolling. Now, enrolling is where the magic happens. That's where we get paid in doTERRA. And learning to ask those questions to help people get enrolled is huge, because a lot of times you have to hear several no's before you will get a yes, or the person who ends up ultimately enrolling will tell you no first. This last week, I decided to really follow up with a lot of people that I hadn't followed up with in a while, the people that I had shared samples with. And I just went through my phone. I was on a flight, and I didn't have internet, of course, but I know you can get Wi-Fi in the plane, but I didn't have Wi-Fi because between Mexico and the US, there is no Wi-Fi. So I went through my phone, and I just went through everybody that I had texted to check in with them, and in the last 2 or 3 months. And I went through and I sent all of them a text message. Like I, of course, didn't send, but then as soon as I got to service, I was able to hit resend, and I sent messages to several people, and I had person after person told me no, and I thought myself getting discouraged. I had one woman say, I haven't used anything that you've sent me, and I'm not interested in purchasing. And I was thinking, well, I appreciate your honesty, but could you have been a little bit more diplomatic about this and said something like, well, if I ever decide to purchase oils, you'll definitely be my gal, or thanks for checking in. I'm not interested at the moment, but thank you so much. But it was kind of like, well, I'm not using the oils and I'm not going to buy anything. I was like, well, okay. So it does get discouraging to have people tell you no over and over. And then I followed it up with somebody else who was moments away from enrolling last fall, only to say, oh, sorry, I've got this thing coming up, and then we can talk after that. And then she kept putting me off. And so I backed off for a couple of months while I checked in again. And she was definitely more gracious than the other person, but she also told me no. And then I had another woman that I checked in with to see if I could set up a one-on-one that said, well, I have a personal policy against selling anything or hosting any parties. And I just was thinking, man, what am I doing wrong? This is getting so discouraging, because I'm trying and I'm getting told no over and over and over. And I realized that it takes a lot of no's to get to your yeses, and that most people I share with don't end up enrolling, and that is okay. I am looking for the people like my friend that I just enrolled in January that has a brain tumor, and it is in an inoperable place in her brain, and she has no other choices when it comes to Western medicine. The medications that they are giving her are making her so ill. And so having her come to me and say, oh my goodness, Jen, I, for the first time, am not having these horrible headaches. She's like, I still have headaches, but they're not nearly as bad as they used to be. That right there, that moment last week made all of the people telling me no completely worth it. Completely worth it. Because it was hard to have so many people tell me no when I was working my guts out. It was like, man, this is really hard because, people are telling me no, and I'm working so hard. I've worked harder than I have ever worked in the last 3 years. I've been going to meetings and meeting new people, and those make me nervous. I don't enjoy going when I first get there. Once I get there and I get into it, it's good. But I have moments of this is hard. And, I've been working so hard, and then everybody starts telling me no. And that's okay, because I've realized that 2 things. First of all, no means not right now. And then where I'm at emotionally with this business is really going to truly dictate how I do with it, because I'm going to have people tell me no. I'm going to have people be rude to me. And that's okay, because I'm going to find other people that this is literally changing their life. And that is what makes it all worth it. So I've got this cute little baby at the door saying, mom, mom. I don't know if you can hear him, but he's adorable. So this week, I want you to focus on learning how to ask enrolling questions and really focusing on enrolling new people and then figuring out placements. So we're going to go through pages 15 through 18 of this guide. And there are several really good videos this week as well. So there's some keys for closing. And I will just give you my little 2 bits or my 2 cents on closing. And the first thing is you close twice at every class. So I like to set myself up where I have no more than 5 to 8 people at each class. It always seems really fun and exciting to think, oh, I have 15 people at this class, or 20 people are coming, or those classes. It's fun to see those numbers roll in, but it's really hard to close a class with that many people, because I find myself closing twice. I close at the end of the class when I say something along the lines of, here are the different kits. I'd invite you guys to look through and see what's the best option for your family, and yada, yada, yada. And then I go around and I close individually. And if there are 20 people at the class, it is really hard to close if I'm by myself to close that many people. And so what I need to focus on doing is finding new people, or either somebody that can go with me, or maybe break class, tell the host the ideal class size is 5 to 8 people, just because your people will be able to learn more effectively. What did you guys think about the class? And I love some of these questions. When it comes to enrolling somebody, utilize the proven questions to genuinely address any concern and help them make better buying decisions. If someone has a concern they can't resolve, simply say, I don't know, but I know where to find the answer, and I'll let you know. Don't make assumptions about their ability to purchase. Let them choose what is best for them. I think a lot of times we go up to them and say, well, there's this family essentials kit, which is great, but you may be talking to someone that could really benefit from the natural solutions kit. So what I like to ask people is what they're working on. Look at their top health priorities, and I go through the book with them, and I show them some oils that will be really beneficial for them. And then I ask how serious they are about resolving their health issues. Because if they're not really that committed, it's going to be really difficult to move forward in helping them if they're only interested in putting 50% effort towards 50% effort towards improving their health. So I would find out how serious they are, and then show them the value of the kits, and how the more serious they are, the bigger kit might be a better investment for them. I always like the phrase, if I were you, I would do this. So I'll tell people, if it were me and I was in the same situation, this is the kit that I would purchase, and here's why. And I always tell them why. So go through these keys to close, because they really do give you some good, ideas on what to do. And I have learned to love that second close, like the one-on-one close that you do with each individual person after the class, because it's almost like a game for me to see what kind of some objections that we're able to overcome. Like, when people say things like, well, I just don't know what my husband would think, or I need to talk to my husband first. I always say, well, what do you think your husband would say if you were to purchase this kit? Now, sometimes they say, I don't know, I need to check with them. And I can sense that that is really something that's important in their marriage, is running an $150 purchase by their husband. And I always want to respect that. But sometimes I can tell that's a bluff. And if I can tell it's a bluff, that's when I push a little bit more, and I'll just say, so what would your husband do if you were to purchase this kit? And a lot of them will say, oh, he probably wouldn't care. And I'll say, okay, so let's do this. Let's go ahead and fill out this form. And then I'm going to text you at 10 o'clock, 10 o'clock. And I'm going to go and just say, give you a thumbs up and let you know that I'm putting this enrollment in. But I always like to see what I can do to help them overcome what's hard for them. If it's a money issue, I'll say something like, okay, so let's talk about what you're currently spending your money on with healthcare. How much does it cost you to go to the doctor? How much does it take you to take time off work? How much, and then what would you be willing to pay to feel better? What would you be willing to pay to not have this head tension anymore? What would you be willing to pay to not have these seasonal threats that are so debilitating that you have to lay down in bed every afternoon for 3 hours? What is that worth to you? And I just walk them through the value of what being healthy is. And I believe that there is a video this week on overcoming objections that I think would be really great for you to watch, because, honestly, there's times in my life I need somebody to push me to, because I'm having a hard time making a decision and I'm not quite sure. And having somebody to push me to is huge. So the keys to close, I would definitely read through this page and really really master these things. And then the next section is on placements. Well, actually, no, let me backtrack. Placements is important, but following up is huge. I always look at this right screen and I'm like, placements. Yes, placements is good, but I want to talk about following up. Now, I love this thing that says enrolling someone without following up is just like hauling buckets. So you want to be getting people on LRP. And I will tell you that when I first started enrolling people, most of them did not get on LRP because I didn't really believe in LRP myself. It was a burden for me. I felt frustrated by it, and it was hard to get people on LRP. But I quickly learned that LRP was absolutely amazing, and it was the best way to get the products in my home for the cheapest price. And I personally have done LRP since the day I signed up 7 years, 2 months ago. And I've done at least 100 PB every single month. Even on a couple of months when I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna make this work, I figured it out. So what I like to do whenever I enroll somebody is right then and there, I set up their wellness consult. I am getting better and better at making sure these happen. Because first of all, I create value with it. And I tell people right up front when they're enrolling, I'm going to be calling you, or actually I try to get it set up right then and there. Say, you know what, you're going to be receiving in your oils in a couple of days. And I know you're going to be confused and you'll probably forget a lot of the things that we talk about at class. So what I want to do is come over and I'm going to go through your kit with you and show you how to use every single oil that you have in that kit so that you feel confident in your purchase. What is a good day for you? And I try to get their wellness consult set up right then and there, because you know what, if I get it done right then and there, it's more likely to happen. I enrolled 12 people. Well, I've enrolled 13 people this year. I have 2 one-on-ones this week, so I think I'll probably get up to 14 people this year. But I have enrolled 12 or 13 people this year, and I have done wellness consults with all but one of them. I had one that I could not get her to set up a wellness consult, but I was able to set up the other 12. So I get them set up right on the spot, and I also help them feel comfortable. You know, I'm not there to make you purchase anything else. I just want you to genuinely understand everything that you just purchased. And sometimes it's fun. I do a lot of them on the phone because I realize I don't live next to a lot of people I enroll. So I do them on the phone or I do them on Zoom, just what we're on right now. So I always send them this lifestyle overview, the Live Guide that doTERRA has. And I walk them through the different products and how they can integrate a healthy lifestyle into their home. And at that overview, I always ask them at the end. Now, I'm sure you've been thinking about people that could really benefit from these oils, and I would love to take time to do a class for you. In fact, if you want to host a class, I would love to give you a diffuser. I heard you mention several times today that you would love to get a diffuser, and if you can get 5 people at your class, I would love to give you one totally free. I will tell you, I probably a third of my people who sign up end up hosting for me, and I give them a diffuser just for hosting. So that's the first thing I do. Once they say yes to hosting, I give them this share guide so that they are able to more effectively prepare for their class. I give them samples for their class, and I give them little invitations that they can hand out. And I walk them through how to invite. Now, after their class, I always say, look, you had an amazing class and you had several people sign up and you're going to be getting a check for that Fast Start money. I wanted to let you know that doTERRA is an amazing business opportunity. And, you know, as you know, I do the business and this is our primary income. And I would love to work with you hand in hand in creating an income. Is that something you're interested in? And then if they say yes, we go through the build guide. If they say no, I'll say, you know what, that's totally great. I understand that, you know, we only have so much time in a day and we need to work on, you know, we only have so much we can prioritize, or only so much we can focus on, and we have to prioritize. So then I'll ask them, do you know of anybody else that's looking for this business opportunity? Somebody that wants to work from home, have flexible hours, and create an income. And I will ask for a referral. So that's kind of the little thing that I follow up with following up. Now, it is key that you're doing these wellness consults right away, setting up classes right away, because it will give you a better idea of where to place people. So they have a really good placement strategy on the back. So basically, you're going to figure out how committed these people are to either using the oils, because the more committed they are, the closer I want them to me in my organization. I have a perfect spot for everybody on my team. And so everybody has a perfect place. So for me, this is me, says you. I have 6 builders on my front line, and then I have, and they all have builders on their front line. So anybody that's on my front one is going to be a builder who I call a level 10 builder. Somebody who is very, very, very committed to this business. Somebody who will, no matter what, they will be at convention. Well, I mean, I realize that if they were having a baby that day, that wouldn't work. But the point is somebody who is extremely committed to this business. Somebody who's going to be a casual sharer or wants to maybe just build part-time, I'm not going to put them on my front line because that's not going to do me any good. And I'm going to be really frustrated with them. They're going to be frustrated with me. So it's important to identify if somebody is a customer, a sharer, or a builder. And you want to make sure that you don't call somebody a builder who's not. If that person is not willing to do this training and they're not willing to do the launch guide and they're not willing to come to oil camp, et cetera, that's okay. They are not the person you are looking for your front line. And it will be more beneficial for you to be honest with yourself about who is or is not a builder than for you to just say, oh, they'll build. I know they'll eventually build, and keep them on your front line because you'll be frustrated in the long term. So you want to make sure that you have a good conversation with people. And really, when I do their wellness consult, I really gauge, is this person going to continue enrolling? If they're going to be enrolling every single month or ordering every single month, I'm going to put them, on somebody. I don't want to put them on a committed builder's front line, but I'm going to put them in a place where I might need power of 3, 1,500. Or I'm going to put them, and always, this is the good thing about this, is it's on the job training. So you can always work with your mentor on where you think you should place people. So go through the placement strategy and read through this and look through the placement tips. I love everything that they go through because honestly, you will make mistakes. I still make mistakes. I still put people in spots that I'm like, darn, I don't know if that's the right spot for that person. And that's okay because honestly, you can still recover and you can still have a presidential diamond organization, even if you've screwed up your team and you're feeling so frustrated right now. So read through these, all of these placement tips and enjoy the videos this week. And you are going to get some great tips on both closing and enrolling, and then where to move those enrollments. And one important thing to remember is that you have 14 days to move somebody after they've signed out. So you'll want to move quickly with doing a wellness consult and doing all of those things. So I want to ask real quick, are there any questions? Or are we as clear as mud? These trainings always buzz by. I feel like I start doing them and then I'm like, wow, we're already on week 4. That's crazy. We have 2 more weeks. Well, I hope you're enjoying this and this is going well for you. Thank you so much for being on this morning and have a wonderful day.